Hi, Andrea here, founder of Confidence Story and creator of GTMsplit. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create your first experiment in GTMsplit UI. We will create a redirect experiment, and then in another video, I will show you how to make an on-page experiment. So let's begin. This is how the user interface looks like when you have no experiment configured. Now, before we begin, a couple of things to remember. So if you need support, click here, join the LinkedIn group and join the group, ask your questions. I'm there. I will try to help you. Then if you didn't install the container yet, you can do it from here. Click on this icon, open this window. I won't go now in the installation. There is another video for that. Go watch it. And from here, you can export the configuration of the experiments once you have created the experiments in the UI. So let's create one now, new experiment. This opens the wizard. Now, this particular window here, you see only once when you are starting a new account. And it asks you to specify from which number you want to start your experiments. Why? Because many of us are running experimentation programs, so you may have an experiment number right now that is, I don't know, 347, so you want to start from 348 in GTMsplit. So you will put here 348, and you see it starts 349, 350. That's how experiments are numbered in GTMsplit, okay? So for me, I want to start with 1, 2, 3 as an example. And remember, once you pick this number, you cannot change it anymore. So make your choice and make sure it matches the numbering of your experimentation program. If you are not using any numbering, you can start from 1, you can start from whatever number you want. So once you're done, you click continue. And you come on this screen. Now, this is step 1 of 6. This is the wizard for the configuration of any experiment, okay? You see that the experiment has been created here and it's a draft, experiment 123. And the first step of the wizard always asks to name the experiment. Now, I already have this prepared. I have a document where I describe the experiments I'm about to make. And I really recommend that you have a similar document. I'm using Google Slides. Some people use Notion, some people use GDoc, whatever, it doesn't matter, but have this document because it's very important that you keep a record of what you are trying to measure and what your setup is. In particular, the screenshots of your experiments are really important because when in 6 months your boss or your client or whoever comes to ask about this particular experiment that you ran a long time ago, then you need to have something to show. Okay, this experiment won't be live anymore. You don't have it anymore. So this particular document here ensures that you have you keep track of all your experiments. So what do I need here? I need the name. So this is product-led landing page. And you see in this experiment, I'm changing the landing page for GTMsplit to an open manifesto. And I can even show you. So this is the original. And the open manifesto is a long form text page with a call to action somewhere here. Going back to the UI, experiment name, I paste it here. This is not an on-page experiment, it's a redirect experiment. Number of variants, 2. I always recommend that you use 2 variants. Here you can make up to 6, but you see as you make more than 2, it reminds you that probably you should use 2. Why? Because the more variants you use, the more you're fragmenting the traffic, you're splitting the traffic. For example, with 4 variants, you are placing 25% of traffic in each arm of the experiment, in each variant. So numbers get small. Number of conversion per variant gets really small, and it takes longer to run the experiment. It's harder to pick a winner. So if you run 2 variants, you can call the winner in a very short time, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if you have really small number of conversions. Okay. If you run 3, 4, 5, or 6, we support up to 6. Well, you are going to need longer experiments, and nobody likes very long experiments. You want to see results as fast as possible. So 2, fine, continue. Next step is to specify where should this experiment run. Now, the easy way to do this is just go on the page you want to test, select the URL, copy it, and then come back here and paste it. You can test the pattern you input here. So if I place the very same URL and I click test, of course, it's a match. If I now add some more text after this, it's not a match anymore, okay? And I can use wildcards in the URL. So now it matches everything after the GTM split. So if I run the test again, this will be a match, okay? So be careful with wildcards. I can even use something like, instead of writing the domain, I can just put an asterisk in front. So this will technically work on every domain. If I test it now, this will fail because of this extra text here. So if I remove it, now it will be a match, because everything that is before the slash here is matched with this wildcard. So the pattern matching we're using is pretty sophisticated. So I can even use, for example, 2 asterisks, and this will still work because it's matching GTM whatever. And then again, if I put some extra tests here, it won't match anymore because there is no asterisks in the end here. There is one more symbol you can use, which is this, and you can have only one. So if you put 2, it will give you an error immediately. This can be only in the end. Like if I put it here, it also gives you an error. So it's very hard to mess it up. We have been quite thorough in the validation. So this is valid. And what does it mean? It means that it excludes the URLs with the URL parameters. So if this comes from some paid campaigns from Facebook with Facebook Click ID or Google with Google Click ID, the experiment won't run because of this exclamation point, all right? So use this particular symbol here only if you want to block URL parameters. It's a very specific case. In general, you don't want it. So for my case here, for this setup, I will just go with asterisk and GTM split like this. Test it again. It's a match. Good to go. Scroll, continue. Now we are on step 3 of 6, and here you can configure which type of device or operating system or browser is going to see the experiment. If you don't click anything here, everyone will see the experiment. When they land on the page, the traffic is split and everyone can participate in the experiment. If I were to click desktop, now only desktop devices will see the experiment. If I were to click desktop Windows, now only desktop Windows are seeing the experiments, and so on. So there are some combinations that are impossible. For example, if you take Windows and Safari, you will get an error message because there is no device that can be Windows and Safari. Again, there is some validation here, so it should be like you cannot get Android and Safari again. So we implement a little bit of validation here, but be careful when you use segmentation, because it may be that you pick segments that are so small that you can't actually measure them, okay? So if you start to pick Brave only, there are very few people who are using Brave, so your experiment will run on a very small segment. You don't want that, okay? In general, you segment by device type, operating system. Sometimes you want to see how people with different devices respond. And you can do that with GTMsplit. For me, in this particular experiment, I don't want to segment the traffic, so I don't click anything and continue. Now here, you set the date. So by default, the experiment start tomorrow. So if I want the experiment to start, for example, on the next Monday, I would click and go here, and now it starts from Monday. Total days and enrollment days, this controls how people are enrolled inside the experiment. Now, generally, you want these two numbers to be the same. 91 days is 13 weeks is the default, but it's quite long. So I would say 42, this 6 weeks, and 42, okay? Now, why we have two numbers here, that is a feature that it's built in GTMsplit. It's if you want, it's a premium feature, because all the other split testing platform, they do not offer this, and some of them offer it only on enterprise plans. This feature is cohorting. Basically, it allows you to enroll people for a given time, let's say a couple of weeks, and then stop enrollment. And this experiment will not be served to anyone else but these people who are already enrolled. And then it keeps serving this for the total days. So if I were to put here again 91, I would have these people that are enrolled for the first 6 weeks, and for the next 7 weeks, only these people will see the experiment. They keep seeing the control, the variation, and all the other people don't. So new visitors will be enrolled in different experiments. That's the idea behind cohorting. Why do we want this feature? Just because if you have long sales cycles, this is the only way you can run a proper experiment, okay? So in most cases, this is not necessary. So you keep here the same numbers and you are fine. If you want to know more about cohorting, go watch the video about anti-overlapping and cohorting. Continue. Now here is where we put the link to our reporting document. And you remember I already have it here. So I will grab the link. Usually I give commenter rights to my clients or people I work with. So copy link, done. And come back on the UI and paste here the URL. And now we have the document that it's linked to the UI. I will show you where it comes. Here we have to specify where we are redirecting. And again, we need the URL of the control because in the previous steps, if I go back, you see that this is just a pattern, it's not a URL. So I need to specify the real URL at some point, okay? So going back, here is fine, and here, so going to grab the URL, paste it here. This is the original, and this is the variation. Boom, and now it's finished. So this is a redirect experiment. It is scheduled. It starts on next Monday. It is 42 days of enrollment and 42 days total. Report doc, click here and it opens the slides document. Again, very important. You need to keep documentation about the experiments. Otherwise, you can't remember what you did, what you tested already. And the UI helps you because over time you're going to build up a list of experiments and everything you have ever tested will be available in the UI. Remember again, this is all for free. You don't have to pay anything for GTMsplit and for GTMsplit UI. Now, last thing about this experiment, let's see the actions you can take. When the experiment is scheduled, you can edit the experiment or duplicate the experiment. So if you want to start over with a similar experiment, you can just duplicate. Or if you click edit, you will get back in the wizard and then you can just go through the steps again and change your preferences before the experiment goes live. Now, to publish the experiment, there is one extra step you need to take, which is exporting the configuration to Tag Manager. You click this button here, it downloads a file. This file contains the name of the domain for this account. This is particularly useful for freelancers and agencies because if they work with different clients, one might get confused on which container is which. But with this naming convention, it's always easy to pick the right one. Then you have the date and the time. They're all sorted in ascending time, so it's very easy to find the last container you have downloaded. As a matter of fact, I do have many containers, but this is the last one. So you see, it's very easy to identify which one you have to import. I'm not going to cover how to import the container back into Tag Manager in this video. I have another video for that. And before you go watch that particular video, we need to see how to create an on-page experiment. So on-page experiment is the video that is coming next. That's all for this one. I'll see you at the next one. Ciao.